Hi, and welcome to the second episode in a series that we're calling Building in Public by Hotjar. And in this second video, we're going to talk about setting objectives and key results that can rally your entire team and make the most of their contributions and their disciplines to achieve your product goals. I'm Megan Murphy, the VP of Product at Hotjar, where I lead our data, design, and product management teams. So I'm going to share a story of something that we went through recently at Hotjar, and it's something that has been escaping me in most of my product career, which is setting an objective where folks in engineering are as excited as those in design and as excited as those in product and marketing behind one single objective and rallied everybody's expertise in one direction. So there's a few different ways that product companies can do goal setting. And Hotjar, like many other product-led tech companies, uses objectives and key results, a framework that was popularized by Intel, Google, and plenty of other companies. And most of the time, we think of OKRs as delivery objectives with quantifiable key results that measure your success quantifiably against that objective. But today, I'm going to talk about one objective and key result that we're super proud of because in Q1 of 2021, we saw some really impressive metrics gains across a number of dimensions that we had been pursuing for many quarters past, but we finally feel like we kind of cracked something. And so one of the challenges that you have in setting objectives is that it often feels like each discipline has its own priorities, right? In some companies, you even have a technical roadmap and you have technical objectives. At Hotjar, we don't do that. We have objectives across our entire tech org to which all of the disciplines within it are expected to contribute to deliver customer value. And so in this example, in Q1 of 2021, like I mentioned, our objective was simple: make our product experience faster and/or more fun. And this was really, really cool because it rallied our engineers to think of how they could contribute to making the product experience faster by way of, for example, finding the technical debt opportunities that cause the most latency. And likewise, it got our design team very excited because that part about and/or more fun got them excited so that they could think of ways to bring more delight into the product or to reduce the perception of latency through, for example, micro animations or more playful copy that would keep people's minds occupied while something was loading instead of just a very boring loading screen. So in most cases, it might seem like paying down expensive and timely technical debt feels like it's diametrically opposed to making the product experience fun or more delightful. But framed through this way of make it faster and/or more fun, it helped both disciplines feel excited to contribute. And of course, product managers are happy when the colleagues they work with every day feel like they're doing meaningful work and they're making unique contributions to a given problem. Any good key result needs to be quantifiably measurable, objectifiably gradable, and time-bound. And with that in mind, we first set out with a milestone to measure reliably our performance on the 5 most used areas of our product experience. So we took the average time it takes for a certain part of the experience to load on different Wi-Fi speeds, for example. That way it would be more representative of how real users experience the product out in the wild. And then we compared those 5 different parts of the experience to the best industry standard benchmarks we could find. So for example, we have a session replay product, which we call recordings, and we measured how long it takes for a recording to load in Hotjar, and then what the industry average benchmarks are for how long it takes for video products. You can think of some, I'm sure, that you've watched content on, how long it takes them to load. And then that was our delta, right? We had an industry benchmark and then we had our own averages. And so after establishing those baselines, the key result that we set was that the average speed it would take for our product experiences compared to those benchmarks would either meet the benchmark or deliver a delightful waiting experience. There's plenty of room for interpretation there, right? What is delight? How do you measure it? How do you know if it's a great experience? It's more important to move forward than it is to stay still just because we don't have all the questions answered. And so when it came to determining if our product was more delightful, in the case that we couldn't improve the actual speed, but we could only hope to improve the perception of speed through more delightful waiting experiences. In that case, we leaned on bounce rates. So we took a baseline of the bounce rate of those top 5 most used parts of our product. And then we said, okay, if we see any reductions in bounce, then we can presume that it's due to people feeling more emotionally connected to the waiting experience, which then lends to the second of our 5 product principles that we shared in another video, which you can find here. And in this case, it really helped us collectively think of not technical debt against delight, but in combination with both of those things toward one objective. And so now for the exciting part, what were the results and how did it go? Well, I'm very excited to share that of the top 5 most used parts of our product experience, where we wanted to make it either faster or more fun and delightful, in one of those 5 areas, we saw a 78% improvement in speed. And it was basically the time it takes for this area of the product to load. And in another area, we saw gains of 26% improvement in speed. I mean, honestly, I would think that the 26% was super impressive, if not for that crazy number of 78% faster. By leaving it so outcome focused to improve speed against a benchmark, it left our engineering team so much freedom to figure out, okay, well, we have this technical debt, which is inevitable, and everybody has that. What are the parts that we think are driving latency the most? Okay, let's go think of how to solve this. What kind of libraries could we change? What kind of re-architecture might help here? How can we set up these services better to be more efficient in our code base? And so that led to some really, really impressive outcomes. And then the part about the delightful experience, likewise, had some incredible results as well. So we had those 2 that saw the gains in actual speed. And then in the other 2 areas where we had the improved perception of speed, we added new copy consistent with our brand guidelines and tone of voice, and micro animations that were brand new, and they're really fun, and they like twirl around and are a hell of a lot more interesting to look at than a simple loader. And there we saw bounce rates drop by 50%, which means that of all the users who saw this, who were waiting for this part of the experience to load, more than like double of them stayed. And so these contributions across disciplines really helped us recognize that the most important thing we need to do is make sure that we're setting objectives and key results with language that speaks to everybody, no matter their discipline. And so an example of this is it has helped us shape the way we communicate with each other. Our engineers might have previously said something like, we need to do a refactor on this code base. Now we're hearing language more like, hey, we think that if we improve this, we should see some gains in performance, and that should help with conversion rates. Amazing. It's such a different frame of mind when we're really always thinking about the end user and their experience and the impact on them and on our business. It sounds so simple, right? It sounds like, oh, of course you should know that. But in practice, I really haven't seen this in many places. I really haven't seen product teams using language that puts the user as that shared common denominator and then rallies everybody to make their contributions toward that goal. And it feels like we really kind of cracked something recently, and we wanted to share that with you. And if you like this video and if you found it valuable, let us know, share your feedback. Please do all those YouTube things, like, subscribe, comment, reach us on LinkedIn and let us know what you thought. And we hope to see you again for another one of our Building in Series episodes. Building in Public, no, for another episode in our, and we hope to see you again for another episode in our Building in Public series.